So even before the semi-final is set to be played, India have suffered two major jolts. One, Pooja Vastrakar has been ruled out and Sneh Rana has come into the India squad. The ICC's approved the change. We don't know the status of Harmanpreet Kaur because she also was in hospital and Pooja Vastrakar had an upper respiratory tract infection. Maybe Harmanpreet Kaur has been diagnosed with the same thing. If she does not make it to the semi-final, then you may see Smriti Mandhana lead the India side for the semi-final. But despite these obstacles, despite the baggage of history, India still has a potential to beat Australia. Yes, let me from the outset tell you, 99.9% of all our family members, all the Indian cricket fans will say it's a no-hopper. Australia are the odds-on favourites because of the depth, because of the big game experience that they have, and India has no chance. Agreed. All of us will say Australia are the favourites. But there is a belief in the Indian camp that they can beat Australia because even Mithali Raj, speaking to one of the media outlets, she said that in the past couple of years, if you look at it, the only team that has troubled Australia in ODIs and T20Is is India. Now, why is the basis on that? And why in this video I will say India has a slight potential to beat Australia in the semi-final. Because at the same stage, India have beaten Australia in the past. Roll back your memory to 2017. Australia were the odds-on favourite. India were making some big waves in the ICC World Cup. They had beaten England, they had beaten the West Indies, they were on a roll. What happened in that? It needed something spectacular from Harmanpreet Kaur, 171. India, out of nowhere, managed to beat Australia and reach the final. This team, with a core already having a lot of experience in major ICC events, what stops them from not repeating the same thing? You may argue Harmanpreet Kaur was not in form, that's why a repeat of this was not possible. But they also have Smriti Mandhana. It was Mandhana's 83, let me remind you, that helped India beat Australia in Guyana in 2018. Now with no Harmanpreet Kaur, the onus falls on both Smriti Mandhana, Richa Ghosh and Jemima Rodriguez. These three players are going to be the key. So, they have beaten Australia in the semis before and their World Cup record shows it. It's 3-2. And remember, India are one of the few elite nations to have beaten Australia twice or more. I will come to that other slide later. Handed Australia their only loss in T20Is in 2022. What England could not do, what New Zealand could not do, what Pakistan could not do, what the West Indies could not do, India did it in 2022. They defeated Australia in a T20I. Yes, agreed. It was a super over. It was a very close game. But a super over win is still a win. So that is why India have that potential to beat Australia. Because of the past reason, they lost 4. Yes, they couldn't defend 173 in the first game. Then they could not chase down totals in the remainder of the 3 games. That's why, yes, Australia are the favourites. But India can have that potential. Knowledge of Newlands ground. Now, why is that a clincher? This is Australia's first game at Newlands. They had played 2 games at Boland Park, Pal, and after that they came to Aberha. That was the main reason. India, on the other hand, have played 2 games in Newlands and they have played 2 in Aberha. That is the prime reason why India's knowledge of the Newlands conditions could give them a slight edge when it comes to team composition, when it comes to what is the way that they can proceed on this wicket. They have that knowledge. Australia, on the other hand, semi-final, new ground, new conditions, that could prove to be the difference maker. There is also one more thing called the element of surprise. In the past, India have often sprung up a surprise result against Australia. There are many instances to prove it. 2017, was it a one-off? No. 2020, you continued on that and you won a league game in Australia. But more importantly, India were the team that ended Australia's 26-game streak in ODIs. That was a record. Ricky Ponting's Australia had won over 20 or 21, but Meg Lanning's Australia had won 26 on the trot. That took something freakish from India. They achieved their highest ODI chase at that point in time in Australia. They could have broken the streak much earlier in the second game had it not been for that no ball from Jhulan Goswami. So that is why India in that ODI series ran Australia very, very close. That is why India can spring that element of surprise. As I had mentioned, India are in a very elite list when it comes to beating Australia in major events. India are the third team after England and New Zealand to beat Australia 2 times or more in the World T20. Yes, India have a 2-3 head-to-head record against Australia. Their 2 wins came in 2018 and in 2020. England have beaten them twice. New Zealand, the White Ferns, have beaten them 3 times. So these are the 3 teams who have beaten Australia the most in world events. India have beaten Australia and Australia as well. Only England and New Zealand prior to 2015-16 had beaten Australia and Australia. But India changed all that when they beat them 2-1. It was the same series that coincided with the men whitewashing Australia for the first time in Australia in a format. So that is why that element of surprise can actually work in favor of India. Yes, they may have been flattened in 2020. They were heartbroken in 2022 in the Commonwealth Games final. But India, by hook, by crook, they have made it to the semi-final where it is a lottery. The team that performs well on that given day will continue to dominate. And Australia seem to do that more often than the rest. But India can have that potential to ensure Australia's winning streak is broken. But now I come to the obvious, the problems. Why India will find it very difficult to beat Australia and why most of the family members are echoing, oh, India just there to play, they are not going to win. Big game record in depth. Look at the Southern Stars. Be it ODI format, be it T20I format. In this entire decade, only 2 teams have beaten Australia in the knockout stages. One is India and one is the West Indies. That is the level of domination. And you look at the depth. The batting depth is staggering. Alyssa Healy, Beth Mooney, Meg Lanning, 3 outright match winners. And if you somehow manage to break their defenses, you then encounter Elise Perry. Perry is the unprecedented gold standard when it comes to women's cricket, when it comes to all-rounders. She is the greatest. And if you manage to survive Perry's onslaught, then you have the likes of Ashley Gardner, you have Grace Harris, and then you have Talia McGrath. Talk about a potent batting lineup. Then you have the bowlers. You have Jess Johnson. Imagine a left arm spinner bowling in the death overs. That is her brilliance. Megan Schutt, Alana King, Georgia Wareham, Darcy Brown. The bowling also is impactful. So India will have their hands full in trying to deal with this bunch of superstars. Past baggage of losses. Australia never take a loss very lightly. And they know the problem that India will possess. So that's why 2021, then also in 2017, they lost 2 times. They have even been hurt at home, 2015-16. Australia will not want to let go. And that is why, given the moment, given the occasion, they'll want to hurt India in a big way. Potentially no Harmanpreet Kaur. Yes, Harmanpreet Kaur might not play, and that is a big relief for Australia. Because yes, she may not be in good form, but her A game always is against Australia. Commonwealth Games gold medal match, also you look at it, the 2017 match, every single time it's been Harmanpreet Kaur who's made the difference. Lack of penetration in the middle overs. Now we will come to the major point that is plaguing India at this point in time and why Australia will hurt India more because of this factor. Look at the middle overs. I am talking about the period when the power play is just finished and then until the death overs, maybe around the 17th, 18th over, 16th, 17th over. They allowed Pakistan off the hook during the middle overs and towards the death. 81 in 7.5 overs. That was a big letdown. That's why India had to chase 150. Even against the West Indies, when they were reeling at 4 for 1 and they had not done much in the power play, they allowed a partnership of 73 in 12.2 overs. But against England, when Renuka Singh had actually started off well, 91 in 12.1 overs. That broke the back of India's bowling because 91, 73, 81, 3 matches in the middle overs. And that is where Australia are at their most potent. Why? Meg Lanning. Meg Lanning is one of the best players in the middle overs. And if Alyssa Healy is there, and God forbid if Beth Mooney is there at that point in time, it is going to be an uphill struggle for India. Because Harmanpreet Kaur is not there, the batting is kind of a mixed bag. Smriti Mandhana though will be the key because she averages 34 in the World T20 against Australia. And it was her 83 in 2018 that ensured India had won a significant match against Australia. Richa Ghosh and Deepti Sharma will now want to add depth. They will be the key now. Because you already have Jemima as the anchor. But on the other hand, inconsistency of Shefali. Now remember, Shefali Verma has gotten some runs quickly, but she's also not carried on. That is the major problem. So India have a mixed bag with no Harmanpreet Kaur now. The aggression factor as well as the stability factor, that is kind of shaky. But it can be made up with Jemima in good form. If Shefali comes to the party, great. But Richa Ghosh, Deepti Sharma, these two will be the key in the end overs because it was Richa Ghosh's exploits in Brabon that ensured Australia had to battle out in the super over where they lost. So that is why. Now you look at it, what is the best tactic? Chasing or defending? Well, unfortunately, India doesn't seem to do both when it comes to Australia. Their record, while defending and chasing, is also a mixed bag. They have, yes, lost a lot more while trying to chase. In the last, if you may look at it, 6 encounters that we have seen, 4 times India have not been able to chase. But on the other hand, Australia have also struggled while chasing against India in the World T20. Their 2 losses against India have happened while chasing. So what should India do? Maybe go the Australian way, win the toss, bat first, put a big total. But remember, in Newlands, both games that India won happened while chasing. Can India afford to do that against a power-packed Australian bowling lineup or a potentially power-packed batting lineup? That is the big question. So, we are only 3 hours away from the India versus Australia encounter that will happen in Newlands. 6 o'clock is the toss, 6:30 p.m. and we in Sports Today will give you all the updates on the India versus Australia match. Press the like, comment and share button. We are also there on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Thank you.